r/AskReddit. What is similar to finding out that Santa isn't real, but for adults? Presented by Redditious. Retirement is not an age. It is a financial state. The sad reality of my late 50s life. Yup. It's not automatic, you gotta plan for it. But hey, now that I know, I can work towards it better. Fortunately, nothing can interfere with my retirement plan of having a fatal heart attack at work, sometime around age 76. My coworkers will chant songs of glory as they carry me out on my desk. Edit. Thank you strangers for providing 2 silvers to pay the ferryman. Then push it out into the business park lake. Pile old reports around your body and set it on fire. They will throw in the good printer as a sacrifice. Leave the printer. Take the cartridges. Learning that Santa is real and you're him. Discovering that good friends you thought would always stick together drift apart over time, sometimes never to be heard from again. This one has been bothering me a lot lately. I have 2 high school friends who mean the world to me, and we used to always hang out over breaks we shared. Lately though, we've all drifted apart and not communicated as much because of our different worlds/fields of interests. On the bright side, my best friends from college repeatedly pester me every day to get a job in insert city so we can hang out every day, so there's that. One day will be the last time you hang out, and you won't know that until much later. It takes a while to realize you no longer get 3 months off in the summer, still mourning the loss. But weekends without homework, for those that are fortunate. Some professions die. Just because you were a good travel agent or fax repairman doesn't mean you can be one forever. I hope the whole influencer thing dies. Influencers have always existed, and this is just the newest form of it. They'll probably be one of the last careers to die, just renaming over the years ad nauseam. I think that's only going to grow. They're sort of the new TV commercial. I mean, it will die, as all things do, but only when the next thing comes along. When I was a kid, I assumed that all adults, and particularly those in positions of power, were intelligent, competent, rational, organized, sane and sensible. Boy, was I in for a shock. I had a high school teacher who liked to say that in the real world you're not going to be able to get away with slacking off and cutting corners like students do. Boy, was that a lie. In fact, I get away with it so much more. The older I get, the more I realize nobody knows what the hell they're doing. Some just hide that better than others. That's the key. I'm generally considered smart, but in my view I'm really not. I just know enough about a wide enough range of topics to seem like I know a lot to those who know very little. Between that and speaking with enough confidence and articulating the little I do know well, I come off as knowledgeable while actually knowing very little. I never put myself across this way intentionally, of course. This is just how I've developed. Same. I know enough to bullshit people who doesn't know it, and that's how I win their trust. I work in a company where everyone is exactly the same, and the teamwork here is awesome because no one is pretending anymore. We like each other and just want shit to get done and satisfy our customers. That the funny/interesting stories that celebrity guests tell on late night shows are actually rehearsed and planned ahead of time. Norm Macdonald has been on Conan, and Conan is clearly wanting to get Norm to talk about what they had planned. He even says, "I thought we talked behind stage about this great story you had." Instead, Norm just goes off on whatever comes to mind at the time. Even that could be a clever ploy by them and be rehearsed. It's not. Conan has talked about it before. Norm and Jerry Seinfeld are both known for not doing the pre-interview. Bill Burr does the interview, but rarely sticks to it. There's a clip from Jimmy Fallon where poor Jimmy looks down at his cards in confusion and Burr just goes, "You really though? I was gonna stick to that. If someone could find this, I'd be very grateful." I used to intern at one of these shows. I wouldn't say the guests rehearse the stories with the host, but the producers do pre-interviews with almost all guests, and if the guest doesn't go anywhere spontaneous, the on-air convo would match the pre-interview pretty closely. Yeah, it's not like it's written down like a script everyone has to follow. They just know what they are going to talk about beforehand to make sure everything goes well. Even Graham Norton. Sometimes the way his guests react to having stories brought up, it looks like they're realizing this will be aired on TV for the first time. I think he has good researchers, so he knows what story the celeb will tell, but hasn't briefed them beforehand. He sets up the story, but sometimes needs to prod the guest a bit to get them to tell it. Yeah, they frequently go, like I was wondering where you were going with that when he gets to the prompt after setting up a story for them. UK adult here. You're not guaranteed a job on leaving uni with a degree. The council doesn't give you a house when you fill in a form. All over the world, living a healthy, risk-averse lifestyle doesn't mean you won't get a lifelong illness or terminal disease. As for your last point, I knew a guy who was super active playing tennis and ate a very healthy diet all the time. One day he went for a run and dropped dead. He was only 63. He probably would dropped at 43 if he weren't so healthy. Also, he got to be fit the whole time. Living a healthy, risk-averse lifestyle doesn't mean you won't get a lifelong illness or terminal disease. I have terrible allergies and really bad asthma. I'm probably going to develop COPD and die an early death because of it. I did nothing to deserve any of that. It's how I was born. Open bracket. A full-time job isn't 9 to 5. Commuting sucks, and usually lunch is off the clock too. That's why I skip lunch every day and just eat at my desk. Would much rather get home an hour early than waste time. Some states mandate breaks for shifts longer than a certain amount of time. In my state you have to take a 30-minute break if you work longer than 6 hours. Whether you like it or not, it's intended to keep employers from exploiting workers, so it's probably a good thing. Working 7:30 to 6:30. What a way to make a living. Barely jetting by. It's all tack-in and no jivin'. Accepting that life isn't fair and that people often get ahead through deceit, corrupt bargains and backstabbing, often applied against very good people. Shitty people often win. Yep. Bad wins because it doesn't care about following the rules, which makes the game infinitely easier. Bad people tend to be very gifted at swaying others and steering the situation for their own benefit. In my experience, evil usually gets the upper hand over good, unless good is very careful. Drive McCoy. Bones was spitting life lessons constantly. Such a timeless show. For me, it was finding out the cheapest studios in my area run for $1,300 a month and most don't even include utilities. It was also finding out working doesn't instantly mean you can survive on your own financially. I can't even imagine that. I get paid $11 an hour bi-weekly, thank God, for nearly full-time work, to pay $540 a month, utilities included, for a 2-bedroom apartment with my wife, who makes $9.25, but only works about 15 hours a week. I live within walking distance of my university. We live comfortably, but sometimes we're stretched thin. $1,300 a month plus utilities? Man, I would be looking for any way out of that area if I could help it. Hopefully you find a reasonable solution. How quickly time flies when you are an adult. It gets faster and faster the older you get too. I read it because every year is a smaller and smaller portion in relation to our life. I've read that's not really the reason at all, and it's more because your life settles into monotony. Those that do new and interesting things all the time don't have time fly by nearly as fast. Yup. With age people fall into a routine, and so your brain lumps all the same experiences together and breaks it up with fresh memories when someone does something new or interesting. When my grandma was in her low 100s, she made it to 105. She used to tell us not to bother taking down her artificial Christmas tree at the end of the holiday because Christmas will be back soon. I'm 28 and starting to feel that way. I mean, to me, we've been in 2019 for 3 months. Price of cheese and butter. Why the hell are those so expensive? Ain't cheap to own a cow. Realizing that it takes a lot more than academic competency to make it in the real world. I wasted my potential academically in high school, so I worked my ass off in college and got a 3.9 GPA in a useful major. Now my friends who were more focused on networking are in better positions than me, and those weak students with better work ethic / focus than me are doing better at their jobs. No amount of academic competence is going to disguise your inability to focus or your underdeveloped social skills. This is a personal attack, isn't it? /s. How did you deal with this realization? I only recently graduated, so I'm trying to adapt. I'm taking active measures to work on my focus and social skills while getting underpaid to do a job I'm overqualified for. I have no idea how to network. How does it even work? You make an effort to reach out and make friends. Even if they aren't friends, you set up recurring meetings or make efforts to sync up with people of influence on a regular basis. But it's also a give and take. You must bring your own insights and value to the relationship so when the something of interest happens for them, they have good reason to reach out to you. Net vs gross income. Cries New York State tears. I feel like it at least makes sense in and around New York City. Then you get to Rochester and the gas costs the same as it does in the city somehow, and there are state and county and city taxes and it all adds up like crazy and Jesus Christ, how are you paying luxury level taxes in Rochester, New York? Chris Rock did a bit about this. This is what you earned, and this is what you're gonna get. Finding out how much health insurance costs. Even if you get it free through work, finding out how little health insurance covers. If I get hit by a bus, I suppose I'll get a few bucks from them. Other than that, I'm halfway through my professional career and they've never paid a dime for my medical expenses. Actually, that's not quite true. They cover getting an annual flu shot totally for free without too much hassle. Woo. $10k down, $20 saved. Publix, a store in the South, will pay you $10 to get the flu shot. Lol, I live in Canada and each month I drop $300 for antidepressants. I can't wait for my work health plan. In fact, it kicks in tomorrow. So I can get 3 months of medication for $10 instead of $900. I pay something like $480 a month for my insurance. I take my kid to get a strep test and still have to pay the doctor $350. The fizzle stick? The dinosaur bones in museums aren't real. Open bracket. I just looked this up. That's understandable but really disappointing. / take that back right now. What the fizzle stick? Why are you ruining my reality? In this entire comment section, people talking about life and love and work and pole dances. This was the most shocking one for me. Damn. Today I learned